My father is someone who I respect more than anybody in the world. He's still alive without my mom. And when I was born, my biological father left my mom when she was pregnant with me. 4 days after I was born, my mom went out on a date with this guy, Connley. She had 3 kids under 3 years old, and I was literally 4 days old. Somehow, she convinced my father to marry her, and 8 months later, they got married. In 1964, from the world that I'm living in, that's hero shit, what my dad did there. He claims that he married my mom to get to the kids, but I've always struggled to believe that. But I do hold him in the highest regard. An incredibly honest man. Someone I'm gonna miss a lot. It's funny, I keep saying that. I'm not gonna miss anybody, I'm gonna be dead.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm gonna miss them. I suppose they'll miss me instead.
All right, Steve.
So we have some hopes that because I'm significantly younger, I'm 57, which is 10 or 15 younger than most people who get diagnosed with this same cancer that I have, and that because I'm really fit, there's a good chance that I will outlive the averages and I might get a couple extra months tacked onto my life. That's a port. That's a permanent port that will be in me. It's interesting. I don't know if they take it out when I die for reuse. Maybe not, but I think they're pretty expensive, so maybe they do. But it's certainly not coming out of me until I die.
Right.
And right now, there's tons of raspberries and thornless blackberries out there. If you guys get in the neighborhood sometime, you can come by. Everybody at our place is vaxxed, most of us several times.
Blackberries?
Thornless blackberries. Those are going to be about another week before they're ready to eat. All right, we'll let you guys go. Have fun. I'm gonna jump across it. It's one of my delights. Documenting this.
Hey, neighbor.
Hey neighbor, how you doing?
Following Steve around, seeing him jump this thing.
He's gonna jump through the train.
God. Is that what you're talking about?
Since the end is right there, I'm gonna just wait. Yeah. I'm not waiting until next week to do this. I'm gonna go home and eat some mushrooms now. So I went home and I took 3 tiny caps. I felt at peace. For about 9 hours, I felt like I wasn't dying. And all of a sudden, things went south. And I felt really out of control. I think if I were to put words in her mouth, which might not be fair, but she thinks that I'm going to fix the fact that I'm dying by putting something in my mouth, like benzos or narcotics or mushrooms. And clearly the work that has to be done is up here. And she said, you know, that stuff's all good and you should use it when you need it. But I want to encourage you, instead of to try to be in denial of what's going on in your life, to lean into it and try to figure out, well, what does it mean that I'm in this pain? And what does it mean that my life is now going to be really shortened? And even like, what does it mean that I don't get to be with my daughter when she's growing up? Some things that are really difficult to think about, but when I've been able to do that, I've found it really useful.
Yeah, I'm not convinced that that's the way it goes. I haven't really ever fallen apart, and it feels to me like if I do fall apart, I won't come back together. I'm certain that I probably will, but I've been through some shit before, but nothing like this. This feels like just a vulnerability, which is so just massive. I don't know how you get past it.
Yeah, and some days he's doing stuff that I wouldn't have thought he was going to do the day before, and then the next day he's not. So it's very unpredictable.
It's hard to look someone in the face and say, you're awesome, I love you, your future is a fucked up climate and you're gonna work in Walmart, you're gonna eat beans out of a can. You know.
But you better pass this test.
Yeah.
You
The
better
test
get a
is
good
what
grade.
matters. As long as you pass the test, everything's gonna be all right.
Gosh, it's so cool to sit next to Steve again. We're not colleagues. I feel like we're almost siblings in a way. And yeah, I see him as a brother, actually.
But yeah, I want to talk about where we've gone to play, where I want Ruby to go play.
Is that whiskey?
Damn straight it's whiskey.
We all need a shot of whiskey.
You want some whiskey?
Hell yeah, god damn it. All right, here we go. Steve Connley, story time.
Alright. So me and my buddy Park just drove up the river to paddle the Mackenzie, and we had a great time paddling. But at mile point 23 on Highway 126, Park saw a huge banner in front of a house. It said LBGTQ, and it had a fucking gun underneath it. And I read that as kill queer people. And I didn't see the sign. Park told me about it, and I was like, okay, this is mile point 23. Fucking mark that, Park. On the way back, we're stopping. So we went up and did our paddle and had a great day. And on the way back, we got to mile point 23, and I said, pull the fuck over, dude. And he pulls over in this little street, and I'm like, all right, I'm going. And he goes, wait a second, dude, we need to be pointed out. So he drives up the road and points it back so that we're pointed so that we can leave and run if we have to. So I walk up to this house, and my first thought was I was just gonna grab the sign and run. And it did say LBGTQ and had a big fucking gun right next to it. So as I get up there, I notice that there's a fucking elk head on the back of the guy's truck. And I look through the window and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I really didn't know. I walked all the way up to the house. I had no idea what I was gonna do. And I looked in the house and there's a dude and I was like, hey, come here, man. And he comes walking out and he's all limpy and shit. I'm like, how's it going? He's like, had a rough night. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, I killed that elk there and me and my son had to pack it out. And I was like, oh, good for you, dude. That's badass. You guys are tough as nails. I said, what's your name? My name's Jim. I'm like, hey, I'm Steve. And is it okay if I just ask a question? I got a question for you. He says, okay. And I'm like, can you tell me about your sign? Because I'm gay. And that really bothers me. And he says, oh, well, that sign says it means liquor, beer, guns, and Trump. And I was like, really? He said, yeah. And I was like, all right, I'll see you later. And at that time, his wife, his kid, his other daughter, and the grandma were all out there, fucking all up next to the fence. And I mean, I when I walked up there, I was like, there's no way this is gonna end without blows being thrown. And I'm not fucking backing down. That's bullshit. You can't fucking have that out here. But in the end, by being nice and by asking him a question, he had to admit in front of his kids. I mean, now his kids are going to say, Daddy, you got stared down by a queer. But that's what it comes down to, is that he couldn't fucking stand up for what he really believed in, which is gay people should be shot. And instead, in front of his kids and his whole fucking family, he had to lie and say that means liquor, beer, guns, and Trump. So that's my story. Just happened.
Wow.
20 minutes ago.
At milepost 23, huh?
At milepost 23 on Highway 126.
All right, what do you think, Nance? You think it was
I think it's a good story.
Yeah?
Yep.
Okay, well, good. What's up, Jen?
Hi, Tim.
So who are you here?
I am a housemate of Steve and the family.
Yeah. What's been going here since,
It's been up and down and all around, but I'm glad to be here. Yeah, trying to be a helpful presence, the best I can be.
I'm gonna get Steve in the shower.
He'll love that.
What do you think?
Well, he's right there. Turn around. There you go.
Baby! Woo! Look at that junk!
So this last week we had Thanksgiving, and that's a super weird thing because there's obviously just endless stuff to have thanks for, you know. And I don't believe in God, but I definitely believe in being thankful and having gratitude, maybe to your community or whatever. And my house is warm, and my family is loving, and the food I eat is fucking phenomenal. The whiskey I drink is really good. So I got a lot to be thankful for, and I'm fucking dying. One Saturday morning, I got up early, and I went downstairs, and I got in the freezer, and I got a big spoon, and I dug out a huge spoonful of strawberry ice cream. Just a pig in shit. I was so happy. I'm gonna sit there and eat my ice cream. Nobody else in the house is up. All of a sudden, I turn around, and there's Dad coming down to start the fire and smoke a cigarette. And of course, my reaction was like this. And Dad says, "What do you got behind your back, man?" And I was like, "Oh, this is it. He's gonna find out, and I'm gonna be in fucking deep shit." And I pulled it out, and I was really sad. And I still remember the look on your face. You were just like, "I don't want to punish this kid. It's fucking early. I want to have a cigarette and start the fire." And you just said, even though it was really against the rules, you were just like, "Hey, I don't care if you have ice cream, man." And it was this moment of humanity that passed between us where you saw me as just a person, you know. Maybe I had done something wrong, but it wasn't a big enough transgression that you wanted to stop the flow of the morning and punish me and let me know what was right. And it made me feel really loved. It made me feel like you cared way more about me than you did the rules, and maybe even put the rules into perspective. It's like, oh, okay, we have this whole big show running, and in order for the thing to roll smoothly down the tracks, we all got to basically follow these rules, but sometimes they're not as important as our relationship to each other. It's weird. It's just a tiny little memory, but it changed a lot for me. It changed how I thought you felt about me, because you were totally my hero growing up, and I wanted to be like you.
I'm okay.
I know you're okay. Maybe even more than half of the people just don't want to talk about it. They do want to hang out, and they do want to be friends, and they do want to spend time.
You get drunk with you or what?
Yeah. Have a drink, smoke some pot, whatever. Yeah. But when it comes to, I'm dying really soon, they're like, oh, some of them will just say, let's not talk about that.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and it's like, okay, you know, it's okay. It's kind of good for me to talk about it sometimes. And the things I have the hardest time talking about are what's going to happen when I'm gone.
Yeah.
You know, how can I be sure that Ruby and Becky are going to be okay?
He was telling me sort of a sweet story about he can't sleep at night. And then you're there, we're holding hand and stuff. And so is that like, are you there every night and pretty much and just going through it? Yeah.
And that part's kind of hard to talk about. But yeah, I hold his hand every night. And we try to fall asleep together.
Yeah. You know, Becky's nice to me. She's loving to me. She's still attracted to me. All that shit's awesome. That makes life so much, unspeakably better. She's my partner.
We're gonna over and hang out with him for like a half.
Love you, Dad.
You just hang in there. There's always hope.
I think so.
Yeah. You never know what the hell your body's gonna do.
That's right.
And you've been fairly active.
Hey, I love you guys.
Can't say you didn't eat right.
No.
Grandpa, drive safe, okay?
Yeah. See you when you get down.
I'll see you in the morning.
You've been hitting the rails where I screwed up.
Whatever, dude.
That was fun and intense. Ruby said.
I've got to spend a ton of time with my kid. To the point where I'm sure she's like, oh my God, give me some breathing room, you know? Yeah. But I'm really aware that she's not going to have me there. And you know, I guess I feel like if I overdo it right now, then it'll make it a little better when I'm not there. I'm not sure that's really a thing, but that's what I'm going with. When I was alive and strong and just going forward in life, it just seemed like obvious that we're, as Perry Farrell said, I think that we're here for having fun. You know, we're here for playing. Life is here for playing. I would have traded just about anything for that Mexico trip. It's some of the most fun that I've ever had. I just wanted to be with Becky and Ruby in a place where Ruby would be seeing new things. Fucking Jones got up one morning and came across a little baby sea turtle making its way down into the ocean. It's huge. Really fucking cool. And we saw a lot of life. I don't care what gender Simon wants to be. I hope that they don't change names again because that's hard for me. Like, look, dude, look at that shit right there. I got a motherfucking tattoo that says Ruby Ann.
Well, just put Simon below it.
I might put equals Simon. I thought about that. And I
They
thought about
equal Simon.
putting Simon coming up this side just for me. But most of that stuff is just things I don't worry about. But Simon has had a pretty righteous summer, and it's none like I've ever had. We stayed home. We haven't gone anywhere. We're gonna go to Mac's cabin next weekend, but for the most part, we stayed right here and did jujitsu. Yeah, I think I'm getting along with everybody, but I have the easiest job, you know? Seriously, like, Jones is gonna be left here with all this responsibility and fucking no one to help, really. Her mom's here, and our roommate Jenny's here, and there are neighbors that care for us deeply, but her job is gonna be much more difficult than mine. The fucking world is coming apart, and she's gonna have to help Simon get through that. I don't know how that's gonna work. Some people called End of Life Oregon called me on Thursday. And this woman went through the details of taking my own life. And shit got fucking real. So, one second.
And this is real.
Hey.
Ruby's sort of real.
Hey Dad, look at this super cool ring we bought at the Goodwill. It's from Kay, which is a brand that I put ads of.
Oh, okay.
And it's real silver. Super cool.
Very cool.
That's
Hey,
cool.
could you guys
We
run
think
over
it's
to
a
Grandma's
wedding
for a little
ring.
bit?
Sure.
Thanks. I think the part where it really started to hit me is she said, families don't like doing that. No one in your family's going to want to mix up your death meds. And I was like, well, fuck. Of course they're not going to want to do that. But it had never dawned on me that it was like such a tangible, hold in your hand kind of a thing. And it shook me to the core.
I would love to live a life at least somewhat similar to my uncle, because he's even gotten sick of it, but he walks around the community and everybody cries when they see him when they found out this stuff's going on. Everybody that I have ever talked to about Steve, they just love him.
People show up on my porch and just start crying. I see people when I'm out on my walks in the morning and they'll see me and they'll just start crying, and it's like, fuck. I get it. I'm sad that I'm dying too, but I can't always kind of be there for folks and be their shoulder to cry on when I'm the one who's dying.
Yeah, for being on, I'm still on chemo right now. This is my chemo bag for actually being on chemo and getting ready to go out for a walk. I feel stronger than I have in the past. So that's good.
That's awesome.
Yeah, everything is short-lived. Nothing, the Buddhists are right. It's all transcendental. It won't be this way forever. I will feel worse, but then maybe I'll feel better again after that.
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't know if it's still transcendental after you die. I'm not sure.
Well, let us know, will you?
I might.
Hopefully.
I might. Oh, what the heck's it called? An advanced directive that has, it's like 6 pages long, and it talks about all of the decisions that my family might come up against as I'm dying and what my wishes are. So, for instance, if they can touch me with their hands and make me better, then I want that. That's the thing I want. If it is going to require some kind of machine to keep me going, I don't want to have anything to do with that. There's just me leaving her. It feels awful. Just really awful. She deserves a daddy. Probably one better than me, but I've been doing a really good job. I've been trying really hard to be a good daddy, and I'm not going to be able to do that anymore. And it's the worst thing by so far. Like, there's just nothing else to compare. I'll miss roses. I'll miss puppies. I'll miss my friends. I'll miss skiing and biking and all my adventures. I guess I won't miss those things. Maybe they'll miss me, but I will miss Ruby somehow. And I know she's gonna miss me. And it hurts a lot.
Can you really blame a kid for wanting to cry? Well, I tried to make a deal with the devil for one more second of time, but the devil was out and God came quick to show everyone I'm alive. My hands felt warm as I bit my tongue. The water began to rise. I slowly closed my eyes, and I don't know where I'll be when I open them again. But I hope you're there with me, my friend. But I hope you're there with me.